What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I am Mr. Cincinnati, and I am joined by the podcast dad himself, Chris Hoops. Choops, my friend. How we doing, bud?
So much to say about this. So much to say. One, technology has defeated me once again. Right before we went live, the AirPods died. I forgot that I mowed my grass this weekend with them. Two, you have one of the ugliest belts I have ever seen.
Really? This is uglier than New Japan's TV title? Really?
I would take the 24/7 title over that.
Hey, you need to put some respect on this.
Why?
You know
what have they won?
AFC Championship, couple of them. That's about all I got, but you can't say that we haven't won anything. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and I needed a little bit of mojo. You know, I needed something. Usually every year I buy myself a little bit of Bengal swag just as a good luck going into the new year, and we're in an 0-2 start, admittedly, but hoping this changes things a little bit.
Let's say you might be 2 weeks late.
It's a handsome belt.
You might be 2 weeks late.
No, I don't think so. It's all right. Joey B's got it. Anyway, it's good to see you, man. I know that you're a little bit tired today, and you've been up with the little looses. So let's try to make this a quick one today before you. Lord knows you can need a nap.
No, it's all good, man. Yes, I've been up since 2:30 this morning. Got to watch about 3.5 hours of Sesame Street, so I'm all pumped up and ready to go and talk some more wrestling. We got some fun stuff tonight and some other fun things that we've talked about today, and just excited to get this shorter show on the road. You know, we'll try to, again, fit it between 30 to 35 minutes. Again, this is the new format. We appreciate you guys hanging with us, and if you enjoy it, please let us know. If you don't, hey, tell us.
Yeah, as always, our socials are in the top right corner. Hit that QR code, and let's just have some fun here. Shout out to Last Week in Wrestling podcast joining us in the chats here. You're on the Sesame Street kick, so we're going to start with the letter R today. Randall Keith Orton was spotted at the Performance Center earlier this week in a video that was leaked to social media where he just sneaks in, gives a little I'm not here sort of thing. Is this the beginning of the Viper returning?
Yeah, I did see that video. I think you sent it to me, but it should be. I mean, he's coming to the PC. What's he coming there for? Just to say hi? I doubt it. It looks like he's going to come back and start training. I did see a picture of Jade there as well, so maybe being helped to bring it in and kind of lead the way with her. That's a good person to learn from. We need Randy Orton back, man. It has been too long since we have had Randy here. It's one of those things where you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Very true.
He had a great tag team with Riddle, and this is just something that I have sorely missed hearing his theme song. I've sorely missed him because no matter where he is on the card, he's going to deliver. He's got since I think he remarried and had a couple kids, the new attitude has been great, and he's just enjoying wrestling again.
Yes.
So very, very excited to see him back. If he does come back, what's first for him?
That's a great question. Ideally, I would like to. There are really just two feuds that I want to see right now for starters. First things first is just the Matt Riddle blow off. They had been building towards that, and had the back injury not happened, I think that we would have gotten that. Riddle, yes, we know has some personal things going on, but having Randy back in the fold might help him to get his head on straight, to have that additional support, because Randy is a self-acknowledged knucklehead in a past life that influence was good for Riddle. So I'm hoping that, this is something positive that can come from it by having him come back. And then obviously Cody, the legacy feud is at an all-time high. Unfortunately, you can't have Ted DiBiase join for this one, but Cody needs something to sink his teeth into between now and getting back to Roman at WrestleMania 40, if that's still the plan. Yes, it seems like he's still involved with Judgment Day, but it's just a very boring feud, and the only thing he's really doing is going over Nick every time that they fight. So those are the ones that immediately come to mind for me.
Do you think we get one last title run with Randy? Do you think he's going to win the big one again?
I'd like to. I don't see any reason why he couldn't. That's another one. At least even if he doesn't win the title, a proper Roman feud would be great. Or if you want to slot him in the world title picture, that would be fantastic too. Even WWE Shop, his legacy belt is Big Gold, so why not go for Big Gold 2.0?
Or just make him a custom title and Eric will buy it.
I don't know. Too rich for my blood.
Oh, that one is. Okay.
I'm kidding. Leave me alone. All right? But, I would really hope that this is the beginning of something, seismic as far as a comeback for Randy Orton. Like I said, if he still wants to go, if he still feels like he can, I'd love to get a couple more years out of him. And even if we can't, we are in an era where we are seeing wrestlers kind of announce how much time they have left and at least admitting that they're on borrowed time, much like Bryan Danielson. I could see Randy Orton doing the same thing.
If the back is okay, it didn't look like he lost a step in the ring when he was most recently here.
Yep.
It could be, hopefully another maybe 4 to 5 years of Randy on a part-time schedule and kind of see him start putting over the younger talent. And I think that'd be really, really fun.
Yeah, here's open for sure. Also, real quick, let's just get into it now. We have more on the injustice against our friend Bryce Cannon. And as we announced last night, we announced an open invitation to Dominic Stuckey to join our show and explain his actions. He has responded on social media. He will be joining us next Thursday, September 28th, for an interview. I believe that his exact words on X were, he's ready to stand trial, and he may think that he's ready to stand trial, but he's going up against me, so I wouldn't be so sure.
We appreciate you coming on. And I'm excited to hear your side of the story and maybe your justification for attacking Bryce, even though I think I agree with you that there is no justification. But again, we are fair people. We will listen to what you have to say, innocent until proven guilty, but there is a lot of evidence against you, pal.
Yeah. That's it is what it is. Justice for Bryce. Get the hashtag going on social media. We're going to take it to a more positive tone. We're going to get rid of this negative stuff over here. But I sent you an article today. It was a letter that Anthony Bowens wrote in the Players Tribune, and I got maybe 3 sentences in before I sent it to you and knew that we had to talk about this today. If you've not had the opportunity to read this article or this letter anyway, it is a thank you to AEW wrestling fans, specifically from Anthony Bowens. Bowens is one of many openly gay professional wrestlers that we have in this business. And this letter was just a thank you to the AEW fans for embracing him for who he is, because he feels like he has had a seismic personality shift since acknowledging his identity and ingratiating that into his personality, his character, and just living his life. That's the kind of positivity that wrestling needs right now. So if you have a couple of minutes, please read that article. You never know who is going through something in their life, and if they're close to you, just be that support, be that person. That's what we need in wrestling right now, and this was just a shining class act example of that. So thank you to Anthony Bowens for being so appreciative of us. We are certainly very, very appreciative of you.
Yeah, I think he was one of the ones we were most excited to see at Dynamite. We got very excited when they announced the Acclaim were coming, so that was awesome. Really good read. And the one thing that it's telling is he's not pushing his sexuality and saying, hey, I'm the gay wrestler. That's what I'm going to do. That's what's going to be me. It was more of a story of a guy trying to live his dream, trying to be himself, living his dream, and thanking the fans for accepting him for being himself while living his dream. Really fascinating stuff about him trying out for WWE and kind of killing it, and then missing that one thing, and he saw that, looked in the mirror, went back and corrected it, and now he's a former AEW tag team champion. He's a trios champion right now, and one of the biggest acts in AEW at the moment. And yeah, just a really good article. I appreciate you for sending it to me.
Of course.
And again, if you guys do have the chance to read it, it is something that it's just a kid being able to live his dream, be a professional wrestler, and thanking us fans for accepting him for not only living that dream, being himself. It comes off as man, this guy is genuine, and you
Yes.
don't get a lot of that in wrestling anymore. I think it's a little bit more prevalent now than what it was, but a very very genuine look into Anthony Bowens.
Yes, absolutely. Again, if you've not had a chance to read that, it is on our X page. We did repost it. Otherwise, you can find it on Players Tribune. NXT marching along last night to the road to NXT No Mercy. A couple of big takeaways. First, the finals of the Global Heritage Invitational are set. We will be seeing Butch take on, I believe, Joe Coffey. Weird scoring aside, I think the thing that stands out to me is, first and foremost, I'm glad that Duke Hudson at least made it to the finals of Group B, because it could have easily just done a one-on-one to kind of get to that point instead of the triple threat. Sudden death have to do this. Good showing for them. Butch and Tyler Bate, they know how to have great matches on muscle memory alone. So I think that they got that right there. This is a huge opportunity to rebuild Butch, especially once he goes back to the main roster. What did you think of this tournament? I know that you've had some misgivings about the scoring and kind of how they've been doing this and the Heritage Cup as a whole, but let me know your thoughts, bud.
Yeah, a couple takeaways I've had. Butch and Tyler Bate are at the beginning of their careers, and I think there is a very, very, very bright future for both of those guys with being as young as they are, as we mentioned on yesterday's show. Pour one out for Tozawa, who didn't get a single point, the only one that didn't get a point in the tournament. But it was good to kind of see him on TV and get his shine. Nathan Frazier, he is fantastic in the ring and just lightning fast. I hate his character. He is dorky and kind of weird. So I'd like to see a little bit more serious side of Nathan Frazier, because I think he has all the potential in the world, but let's develop a little bit better of a character. Again, I like the twist of Duke Hudson, being in the finals and forcing a triple threat match. That was a fun kind of wrinkle that they threw in there. Joe Coffey winning is, okay. Not gonna stand up here and say Joe Coffey is the best thing ever. But I think he'll have a good match with Pete
Sure.
Dunne. It's not Bush, it's Pete Dunne. He's gonna have a great match with Pete Dunne. I could see Pete Dunne winning and then going on and facing Noam Dar, and that would be a really, really great match. But this Heritage Cup has become really, really good for helping the people in NXT that don't get a ton of TV time and kind of showing out. All the matches so far have been pretty good, minus maybe a few where it's just kind of a clash of styles. But
Yeah.
I think Noam Dar and his character have really elevated the Heritage Cup to something it never was. And Pete Dunne is going to kind of, I don't want to say bring it to relevancy, but like make it legit, something that people want to do with somebody
Sure.
from the main roster coming down and taking part in this.
Yeah, especially because I agree with you to that point, and there's a certain prestige that comes with it, especially by doing this invitational. And SmackDown did something very similar, during World Cup time last year. It's just like easily translate to the main roster. I think the only thing that didn't understand last night was why Noam Dar was talking with such a deep, gravelly, just kind of sound like he'd been talking all day kind of voice. That was a little odd, but I'm a much bigger fan of metaphor than I ever thought that I would be. So
For sure. Yeah, if you hear babies in the background crying, I apologize. It sounds like it's going to be a great night here at the podcast that household. Yes, I like the getup that they were in, the metaphor was in. They just have that character about them that I think translate into, man, I really hate these guys. They look ridiculous. Yeah. I hate them. Noam Dar he has a kind of a punchable face, and he plays into that character very, very well. So yeah, just very, very impressed with how this tournament went. And I think they have something here in making this kind of an annual tournament, or maybe even a quarterly thing, or whatever it may be. But keep doing this. I really,
For
really
sure.
enjoyed this tournament.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that No Mercy is going to be awesome. I mean, it sounds like they're building to a pretty damn good show, and it seems like this could be one of the bigger ones in a long time. We also have the rematch confirmed. Becky Lynch will be taking on Tiffany Stratton, NXT Women's Championship, Extreme Rules match, which I was pleasantly surprised at this. But Tiffany Stratton is trying to continue to grow her name, her stock, and get better in the ring. This is going to be your toughest test to date, and we know that Becky is no stranger to these types of matches. I mean, she's done about every damn thing you can think of on the main roster. Big test for Tiffany, but I think she's going to rise to the occasion.
Oh, 100% she will. It's tough for me to get excited about a WWE hardcore match because of what AEW does.
Sure.
I think these two will obviously have great chemistry, so I think they won't hold anything back. You think this main event's No Mercy?
I would say so. I think that it's got a real shot at doing that. I mean, and that's no disrespect to Ilya or Carmelo Hayes, but it's Becky Lynch. I mean, that's just kind of where it is for me. It's Becky F and Lynch.
Same. That's where I think if you're gonna main event with the women's match, this is probably the one to do it with.
Yeah, I don't see why not. And this is, again, big test. I think that it'll live up to the hype, and we'll see what happens. Do you think that this is where we see Jade debut?
That's a good question. I could see it. Depends on who wins. I could see if Tiffany wins, Jade comes out and says, "I'm the real Barbie." That'd be something really, really fun.
That'd be pretty cool.
I don't know if she's going to beat Becky Lynch, but this could definitely be where she debuts if they think she's ready.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we know that she's down at the Performance Center reportedly as well, along with Randy. So it'll only be a matter of time. But like I said, I'm excited for No Mercy, what they've got going to build this. NXT is definitely starting to ride another wave of momentum again. There's certainly some things that have been left to be desired for me personally. Anything involving Reggie, and I forget who the two new guys that he's paired up with, but it was a super weird vignette of them shooting dice last night. It was just like, okay, Reggie, you were Carmelo's sidekick for like 8+ months a couple of years ago. Like, it's kind of hard to hit, to buy you playing Billy Badass, but that's just me.
Yeah, you were also just scripts, which didn't really do much at all besides lip. So yeah, like the vignettes with NXT are kind of weird. I don't know what they're going for, but
yeah, I mean, I like that it's a different presentation compared to what you'll see in the main roster, much like the contrast that we enjoy about Dynamite and Collision, and what sets those two shows apart. So I do respect it from that aspect, but there are some things that are a little just like, eh.
Like when Baron Corbin met himself or something like that. That was
yeah. Anyway,
well. Shout out to Dirty Dom for taking that forearm. Good God,
dude. Oh. Like those can't be easy, dude. They can't be easy. It's just a full on, I'm just gonna lay all my body weight right across you.
Dude, Ilya is a star, and I think
he's main roster ready too, dude.
I think you pull the trigger at No Mercy. I think you do. I think Melo's ready to go up to the main roster, join the Hurt Business. I think it could be a good match. Obviously, Ilya always puts on bangers. I think Dragon Lee Dominic will be a good match. Ready for that pay-per-view, and there's a lot going on in that company, or NXT, not WWE, TKO, whatever there are now. There's a lot going on in NXT that you can look at and go, man, they are firing on all cylinders right now.
They really are. It is a fun time to be a wrestling fan. If we said that lately, it's a fun time to be a wrestling fan.
It's okay to like everything.
It is. It very much is. Now we're going to move on to the flip side here. AEW Dynamite Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium is tonight, and we have got a fantastic slate of matches here. What are you most excited about for this card?
Smojo MJF.
Oh, and yet you don't think that there's the slightest possibility that Joe walks out with that title?
Nope. I don't because I think it's too soon. They kind of hot shotted this program where I think there's still that story to tell with Roddy, and I
Okay.
ultimately think Adam Cole's still going to win the title, and Joe's still the Ring of Honor television champion.
Yes, he is.
So, I don't know if he's going to double belt. I just don't see it. I think this will further tell the story of Samoa Joe, or sorry, MJF. Sorry, guys, I've been up since 2:30. I think this will further that story where I think he's going to continue to injure that neck and make MJF more vulnerable, and ultimately, Adam Cole's gonna pick his spot, and that could be the next step in this. Then they lose the Ring of Honor titles, and then it's Adam Cole turns on him and off to the races again.
Okay. I think if I'm going to play devil's advocate in it, for a Samoa Joe turn, and I mean, I honestly would be happy with whoever wins this, just because there will be some sort of follow up. You're not going to drop the ball on, if for some reason MJF were to lose, you're not going to drop the ball on his chase back to the title. And while yes, we've seen the babyface turn mid championship run, which is pretty rare for wrestling, it would be interesting to see how MJF reacts as a babyface to losing the Triple B, despite having 4 Dynamite Diamond rings.
Yeah, that would be a fun reaction. I would think so. I think you do that title change on a pay-per-view rather than weekly television. That's the other thing I look at is, do they save this for a bigger show? I know last I checked, I think it's 8,000 tickets sold. So it's not like this is going to be their biggest Grand Slam ever.
Yeah.
And do they do it in front of this crowd, or do they wait until they get a bigger pay-per-view crowd?
Yeah. And if we could, we'd just like to point out that TQL Stadium here in Cincinnati also has a very lovely view. So Tony Khan, if you happen to see this, let me know. It'd be fun.
I've never been there, so that'd be something fun.
It's a solid little space. I've been exactly one time, and it was for the USA Mexico World Cup qualifier. I've still never seen an FC game in that stadium.
You soccer nerd.
I'm not a soccer nerd. I was just offered a ticket.
We also have Saraya and Toni Storm for the AEW's Women's Champion. You and I have talked about this a little bit. I think we both think Saraya leaves as champion. It might be too soon for Toni. Agree there?
Yeah, I think that there's still a few. I mean, they can get a few more matches out of this program, and I think that we're still waiting to see full-on unhinged Toni Storm. We see it starting to get there, but it also wouldn't surprise me if she loses this match to incorporate some. I don't necessarily want to throw out like a replica title or something like that, but like a delusional actress with an Oscar statuette or some fake piece of gold that says, "No, I'm the champion. No, I'm the champion."
I could see. I could see
like
that.
Yeah,
that would be something fun. Kind of playing to that delusional character.
Yeah, for sure. But either way, I think that this will be a great test. This is going to be one of Saraya's, handful of singles matches since she's returned. I think the ring rust is knocked off. I think that we're finally going to get kind of peak return Saraya here. She knows that she's in championship mode, and she's done before. She knows what that entails. So I'm not really worried.
Jericho, Sammy Guevara. Who do you think wins that one?
I'm going to go Sammy, and if Chris Jericho doesn't turn on him, I'm done with just that inner circle, just collective Jericho appreciate. All of that is just kind of going to become for naught, because I think that we've been waiting about 5 years for this match. So it has to come to a head here. And we were at Dynamite last week, and yes, they had the video package, but at the end, the handshake got tense like it always does. Something's got to give here.
I'll go Jericho. I think this story will continue. I don't think the turn happens tonight. They still are claiming to go after the tag team champions. I think the turn happens then.
Okay. That is fair. We also have a winner-take-all match between Claudio Castagnoli, Ring of Honor World Champion, and Eddie Kingston, the strong openweight champion. A match 15, 20 years in the making at this point. I just want these guys to beat the brakes off of each other, and it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be physical. I mean, we're gonna be well past snug here. This is gonna be stiff.
Oh yeah, they're gonna destroy each other,
Yeah,
and I see Eddie Kingston winning. I think Claudio has had the
sure.
run with the Ring of Honor title, and
And it hasn't been the greatest either.
well, yeah, it hasn't been the greatest, and I think you put him back on Dynamite and kind of put him more in spotlight. Obviously, Ring of Honor doesn't have the biggest spotlight in the world, and you give Eddie Kingston kind of a run with a world title, and maybe in the future he gets that run with the AEW champion he's been looking for.
Yeah, this is a true test to see what they've got with Eddie Kingston when it comes to. I mean, if he can lead Ring of Honor and add something to that championship, and I am confident he can. So we'll kind of see how it plays up. But yeah, I'll go 82.
Moxley and Ray Phoenix for the international champion. I think this will be a good match. I don't see any reason to take it off Moxley quite yet, but yeah, it should be a fun match.
Yeah, potential TV match of the year, I think, here. These are two very interesting styles that you would think don't mesh well, when you see it on paper, but this is going to be great.
The real question is, will Moxley bleed?
That's not a question.
Is that minus 10,000?
Yeah, sure.
And then the last one, we have Orange Cassidy and Hook versus TBD. So whatever tag team that will be. Again, we kind of talked a little bit about this, about, it seems to be they give Hook a little bit of a singles run and then it goes back to a tag team. So we will see.
Yeah.
I will let it play out. I'm interested to see who the team is. I don't know who they've been kind of feuding with. Do we see Jungle Boy come back? I don't know.
I don't know. I think that I don't necessarily see that happening tonight. I think that there's still more that might need to be done as part of this whole investigation into what happened at Wembley. I'm going to say no to a Jack Perry return. I don't know. I would honestly be very surprised if we see Jack Perry back at all in 2023. That's just me.
Okay. That's an
bold statement. I know. No,
it is. We will go over Rampage after Dynamite, just because that's night 2. But a couple good matches on there that we will kind of preview here in a little bit. And then the last one that I had that I threw in the notes was Fightful reported that Sheamus's contract is up in 2024. Do you think there's 3 possible scenarios that I can see?
Yeah. Okay.
A, he re-signs with WWE.
Sure.
B, he goes over to AEW, which I think is a little less likely. No. And then C, he retires. He's not a spring chicken.
Yeah, I'm gonna say A or C. I don't know. I just don't. Yes, he's got friends over in AEW. That's not necessarily a concern for me. It's just when you've been doing 15 years of the WWE style, it's going to be hard to make that transition to the AEW style. Sheamus is one of those guys that if I'm WWE, especially now that Papa H is at the head of creative, he's going to make sure his old workout buddy is taken care of. So, like I said, I think it's either option A or C. He seems to be still moving around in the ring just fine. I mean, he's had the spinal stenosis issues that have plagued Lita, Austin, Edge over the years, but he seems to take a licking and keep on kicking. So I don't see any reason why he would leave AEW or leave for AEW, and I don't necessarily see him retiring. So I'd say he stays.
And then the last kind of thing that I have is, do you think that's why we're getting more of an emphasis on Butch?
That's an interesting question. I would not have thought about it that way. I don't necessarily want to put 2 and 2 together because unless, and I've not seen any reports to the contrary, but I haven't heard anything about any offer being made to Sheamus, or him being unhappy with the spot on the card, or being, and none of the stuff that we have heard about, as far as the rumors with Drew McIntyre dealing with his contract. So I would say that it's purely coincidence. And yes, there's a push, but he's doing a lot on NXT through the Global Heritage Invitational. But I wouldn't I don't think that it's necessarily as a result of this contract situation, in my opinion.
That's fair. Thought I'd just ask the question. And
sure.
I think that's all we got in the notes. Anything else?
Yeah, I do have one question. Well, yeah, I'll ask it to you this way. Did Vince basically sell the company so that he would never have to leave WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a new report, according to the LA Times. There's a pretty lengthy article where a former WWE executive went on the record to discuss Vince McMahon and kind of what's gone on over the last year plus, and just kind of how he's wired for those that are not wrestling fans that just don't really understand Vince McMahon. And there are, I mean, we forget the fact that while yes, he is still at the head of the table here on the WWE side of the TKO group, there is still a potential ongoing government investigation. He was served with a search warrant and a grand jury subpoena back in July, was disclosed to the SEC because that's what they're required to do. So there is still an investigation out there, and depending on what's uncovered there, there is the possibility of criminal and or civil penalties that could prevent him from serving as an officer or a director of a publicly traded corporation, as well as any return of ill-gotten gains, which could include that $9.2 billion asking price, potentially.
Yeah, we'll have to see when more details come out.
Yeah,
but Vince is not a dumb man. Vince
is not.
Say what you want. Vince is smart. So we will see when more details come out for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because after all this is coming out, there was an old excerpt of a Kurt Angle interview that came out where Kurt reportedly said that Vince said to him, "I don't plan on dying until I'm 120. My mother lived to 101." Vince is 78 now. He just had major back surgery. According to reports from employees that were at the staff meeting earlier this week, Vince was there with a cane and had to take a cane to get to the stand. And this is probably the most vulnerable that Vince McMahon has ever been in front of a group of people. It's at his age, it's not something to be ignored here, but it's also Vince McMahon. So I'm willing to believe that he could will it so that he does live to 120, and that they will have to pry this company out of allegedly, I quote, cold dead hands.
And yes, I hate to cut it off where we are, but I may not live the next 20 minutes if I don't go help my wife take care of these kids. So
that's fair. That's all good. That's all
if
good.
You are good. I am good to wrap it up. I'm excited for Dynamite tonight. As always, be kind, be nice. And I did not defeat technology today.
It's just your headphones. It was just your headphones.
Still beat me. 1-1.
Yeah. Okay. 1-1. All right. Fine. Whatever. I will take it off. We'll go back to justice for Bryce. Everybody, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I am very clearly Mr. Cincinnati. I'm joined by the podcast dad, Chris Hoops. Choops, stick around for a quick second after this show here. We love you guys. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and we will talk to you guys soon.